On the frontier, when the matches were gone, when the flint got wet, when the last spark had died out of the fire, and the family faced a night without heat or hot food, it was often the woman of the house who solved the problem. She did not go outside to hunt for dry kindling and rub sticks together. She did not stand in the rain trying to strike sparks. She went to a small tin on the kitchen shelf, took out a few carefully prepared items, and made a fire in about 90 seconds. The whole method cost her nothing. The materials came from things the household was already making or using, and any woman who kept the tin properly stocked could restart a dead fire faster than her husband could sharpen his axe. Here is what most fire-starting articles miss. There is a specific homemade method, essentially free, that produces reliable fire in almost any conditions, and it was standard practice in frontier households. It does not require flint. It does not require friction. It uses only two things, both of which the family made themselves, and it works with a spark from any source, even the striking of two rocks together. Once you understand it, you can make fire on demand for essentially no cost forever. Before we start, hit subscribe, because this is knowledge that could genuinely be useful to any household today. What you are about to learn is the free fire starting method that frontier wives used when the matches ran out. Let us walk through it. The method has two components. The first is char cloth. The second is a good tinder bundle. Together, they turn any small spark into a fast, reliable flame, and both are made from things you likely already have in your home right now. Char cloth is one of the oldest and most useful fire-starting materials ever developed. It is nothing more than cotton cloth that has been partially burned in a low-oxygen environment until it turns black, porous, and highly flammable. When a spark lands on char cloth, it catches instantly and produces a slow, spreading glow that will not go out for several minutes. That glowing char is what you use to ignite the tinder bundle. And the making of char cloth is almost embarrassingly simple. To make char cloth, you take an old cotton cloth, an old shirt, an old towel, an old bedsheet, anything that is 100% cotton, and cut it into squares of a few inches. You place these squares in a small metal tin with a tight-fitting lid, such as an old tobacco tin or a cookie tin with a small hole punched in the top. The hole is critical. It lets steam and gases escape while preventing air from entering to burn the cloth completely. You place the tin on a fire or on a wood stove or in a bed of coals, and you let it heat until white smoke stops coming out of the hole. Then you pull it off the heat, close the hole with a small piece of clay or a nail, and let it cool completely before opening. Inside, you will find your cotton squares transformed into black, papery char cloth that catches a spark instantly. The frontier wife made char cloth in batches whenever she had a fire going. It cost her nothing but a few minutes and some worn-out cotton scraps that would otherwise have been rags. She stored the finished char cloth in a small tin on the kitchen shelf, and a single batch produced enough char to start dozens of fires. Once made, the char cloth kept indefinitely as long as it stayed dry. The second component is the tinder bundle. This is a small collection of fine, dry, fluffy material that will catch a flame from the glowing char cloth and burn hot enough to ignite kindling. Your frontier great-great-grandmother made her tinder bundles from a variety of materials, and she gathered them whenever she found something suitable. Dry cedar bark shredded between the hands into fine fibers. The inner bark of cottonwood or basswood. Dry grass rubbed between the palms until it broke into fluff. Milkweed fluff from the seed pods in the fall. Cattail fluff from the seed heads. Dandelion clocks. Thistledown. Dry pine needles crumbled fine. Any of these, or a combination of them, formed the basis of a good tinder bundle. The tinder bundle needs three qualities. It needs to be very fine, so that the small heat of the char cloth can raise the material to ignition temperature. It needs to be very dry, because any moisture will absorb the heat instead of igniting. And it needs to be very fluffy, meaning full of air pockets, because fire needs oxygen to burn. A well-made tinder bundle looks like a bird's nest of fine, dry, fluffy material, about the size of a softball, with a small hollow in the center where the char cloth will go. To start a fire, the frontier wife took a piece of char cloth from her tin, held it against a flint or hard stone, and struck a piece of steel down along the edge of the stone at a glancing angle. The steel shaved off tiny sparks, and one of them would land on the char cloth. The char would catch immediately and begin to glow. She then transferred the glowing char to the center of her tinder bundle, folded the tinder around it gently, held it up, and blew softly and steadily on the ember. The glow spread through the tinder. The tinder began to smoke. The smoke thickened, and then suddenly the whole bundle burst into flame. She then placed the flaming bundle under her prepared kindling, and the fire was going. The whole process, from taking out the char cloth to having a burning fire, took less than a minute in skilled hands. And the materials cost her nothing. The cotton for the char cloth came from worn-out clothing. The tinder came from plants growing wild in the fields. The only manufactured item required was a piece of steel to strike sparks, and any old file, knife spine, or piece of high-carbon steel would work. Even without a flint, two hard rocks striking together can produce enough spark to catch char cloth if the technique is right. The frontier wives kept their char cloth and their tinder in dry containers in the kitchen, always ready. A tin of char cloth on the shelf, a jar of dry tinder next to it, a steel striker, and a small flint in a leather pouch nearby. This kit was as much a part of the household as the coffee grinder and the salt cellar, and any woman of the house could reach for it in a moment. When the fire went out in the middle of a winter night, she could revive it in 90 seconds without anyone else waking up. When the matches ran out at the worst possible moment, she was not stopped. Her free system worked. You can make this same system yourself, right now, this weekend, for essentially no money. All you need is a metal tin with a lid, a hole punched in the lid, some cotton cloth, and a heat source. 20 minutes of work will produce a batch of char cloth that will last you months. Gather some tinder from your yard or a nearby park. Buy or make a striker and find a piece of flint or hard chert. And you have joined a lineage of fire makers that stretches back through your frontier great-great-grandmothers to the beginnings of American settlement. The reason to learn this today is not that you expect the matches to run out. It is that knowing how to make fire without any manufactured supplies is one of the most fundamental competences a person can have, and it connects you to a way of thinking about self-reliance that the modern world has almost entirely forgotten. The frontier wife who kept her char cloth tin full was not paranoid. She was competent in a way that most modern people have lost, and that competence is worth recovering. Here is your challenge. Make a small batch of char cloth this week. Try lighting it with a spark. Gather a tinder bundle from what grows near you. Learn the whole process by doing it. Tell me in the comments if you'll try it, and tell me if your grandparents ever taught you to start a fire without matches. That knowledge did not die. It just went quiet. It is time to start listening again.